Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Texan feature race here tonight in NRRL's Formula 2 action. My name is Jack, I'm your commentator tonight, and this is promised to be a brilliant season opener to Season 2 of the Formula 2 League. I believe we've got 12, 13-ish drivers who are joining us tonight for firstly our one-shot qualifying, followed by I believe a 33 lap feature race. But here we go then for qualifying. A couple of new faces, obviously reigning world champion F1 Mikey boy back on the grid with us once more. We'll be looking to do the double. He won the constructors, he won the drivers. Is he able to repeat that this season? And many questions that will be asked early on. And those questions will hopefully be answered as we go throughout the season. It's currently Devil Diddley and Dan who are scrapping away for the fastest first sector. Sir Liam Bartholomew also up there as Devil Diddley actually invalidates, as has Meloon. And Just Dave, we know a very quick man in Formula 2 machinery, will also look to try and get himself involved as reigning world champion F1 Mikey Boy actually retires, so potentially a disqualification there due to an invalidation, and Mikey deciding that it's not worth doing the rest of the lap and he is out, so definitely ground to be covered for the reigning world champion. It's currently Liam Bartholomew, what a lovely name he's got, currently at the top of the timesheets. It's Just Dave in second with Dan in third, although that is always going to be jockeying around until we get to the checkered flag. And I mean, what a great circuit. This is the circuit of the Americas, always a lovely place to come. It's just such a natural racing circuit. All the sort of corner speeds that you want to see, and a lovely little sunset shot here as we ride on board with Liam as he comes through the final couple of corners now. And this is surely going to be pole position for Liam as he comes around the final corner now, drives it to the line, and it is Liam on pole for the inaugural race. And look at the gap there. We've got Dan in second with Fake Scouser taking the second row. And wow, that was a big gap at the front. Traps is in the chat. How are you doing, my friend? Welcome in. Hope you are well. Hope I didn't take too long for you to get in the stream. So we've got Liam who takes the first pole position of the season, followed by Dan in second. It's Fake Scouser in third with Josh in fourth. Horrors in fifth with Mr. Traps himself in sixth. Daryl seventh with Meldrum in eighth. And then Matt Connor, Mikey Meloon, Dinosaur, Just Dave and Devil Diddley all failing to reach the flag. But an 8/10th gap in NRRL, that is absolutely massive. That is a really, really big gap. So, and he's even in the chat saying that was a bad lap, is Liam. So, this is going to be a very interesting, I believe, 33 laps of the Texan feature race, if that is the case. If that is the pace that Liam has, we could be in for some early season dominance. I believe Liam may be a new driver in the F2 division, or maybe in NRRL as a whole. I don't remember seeing him before. My apologies if you have raced before, Liam. Traps, we know, has raced. Traps, you've only done the one race, right? In Monaco, I believe. Or did you? No, you raced on Friday. Yesterday, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I distinctly remember overtaking you. No offense. I remember overtaking you on the charge to the win. So, my apologies for that. We the less said about that, the better. We won't go into any more detail than that. 1.2 seconds between P6 and P5. It's definitely a split grid. Although you got to remember, this is a pretty difficult circuit. It's tough on the setup. It's easy to make mistakes around here. We had a lot of people invalidate that would have been up in the fight as well. So there's definitely room for improvement in the race. There's a lot of people that we'll see coming through the pack. The likes of Mikey, the reigning world champion. Just Dave, Devil Diddley will want to promote themselves up a few positions as well. Monaco and Bahrain yesterday. Yeah, I thought so. You had a relatively decent race yesterday, no? If I remember correctly, it was all right. I think... I'm trying to think where you finished now. I can't actually remember. I think it was in the points, I want to say. But we will... I believe we are getting ready to go now towards the grid for this feature race here in Texas. I believe we may have had Meldrum ready up a little bit too early, but that's not an issue. Only more the action as those fabled 5 red lights light up ahead of the drivers. A new season awaits, and we are underway here in Texas. And Liam gets away well from pole position. It's Dan in second, but there seems to be jockeying as we go into one of the best turn ones on the Formula 1 calendar. Dan manages to keep second. It's Fake Scouser who's in third with Josh in fourth. Hawes up to 5th with Mr. Traps in 6th. Dinosaur 7th. F1 Mikey Boy already up to 8th from 14th on the grid. We've then got Meloon in 9th as Just Dave manages to get through. And it looks like we've got a bit of contact at the back there and a few drivers scampering off track. But doesn't look like any damage. All of them seem to have gotten through cleanly. But for Liam, that is the dream start already. A second out in front. And as you can see, Dinosaur is the real gainer, up 5 places. And we've not even got through the second sector yet, as there is a big dive bomb from Traps. And Dinosaur, just as I was talking about him, trying to make the opportunist move and go down the inside where Traps did, and spins himself round. And that's Dinosaur all the way down to 14th. But if there's any justifying it, he will know that he's got the pace to try and make moves, as there's battling all in behind as we go down to what is a very good overtaking zone. I'm not sure what corner number this is, I do apologise, but out in front, like I say, Liam with a dream start. It's Dan in second with Fake Scouser right behind the rear wing of the Prema Alpine liveried car. We've then got Josh in fourth, who's got Traps right behind him. We'll go on board with Traps, who's got Haw behind him. This is the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th. And Haw looks very quick on his debut. And Traps runs a little bit wide, a little bit too much of the sausage curb there as he runs a little bit wide, but nothing that's going to danger him too much. 1.3 seconds the gap at the end of lap 1, and Liam leads. Traps is definitely going to try and go defensive here. As to the outside of turn 1 goes Haw, to the inside goes Traps. Manages to keep the position, but it's now the switchback and better traction for Haw, who's now going to look round the outside, but better grip on that inside line. And Traps doing well to defend this 5th place currently. We've got a penalty for Traps, though, 3 seconds to be exact, and that will definitely harm him come at the end of the race. Meldrum and Dinosaur battling away for 13th and 14th as Dinosaur now picks up a 3-second penalty. But out in front, we knew the pace in qualifying was good from this man. So Liam Bartholomew, the high-tech man, absolutely speeding away at the front. And we've got a yellow flag, and that's Dinosaur round again. And I don't think Meldrum was that close to him to have that have been contact. And Dinosaur gets going once more. But the Invicta man not having the start he would have wanted. He had the start he wanted until about 5 or 6 corners in to this feature race. And then it all unravelled for him. But still a long way to go. 31 laps of this race. We're only on lap 2. Always a chance for safety cars and whatnot as Traps, Haw and Josh still battling away here. They've got the reigning world champion Mikey Boy right behind them, who will most certainly be looking to make moves. Currently 7th, and everyone will see Liam just scampering away in the lead. And you've got to think, if you're someone like Mikey, you would believe that you have got the pace to try and get up there with him. As we now move on to lap 3 of 31, and we will stick on board with Mikey as we go down the main straight. Is there going to be cause for any moves? We've got Fake Scouser making a move down the inside at turn 1. We're going too wide here as it looks like Josh is going to lose 2 positions in a couple of corners. Picks up a penalty as well. But Traps gains the position, sorry. Haw is now going to look to take that position as we go to the S's. Just has to back out. Knows that that isn't a fight that he wants to take just yet. But Traps having a very good race currently P4. Does have that penalty, but very easy to pick up those track limit warnings. And you would imagine there will be some drivers behind that will be able to try and make a move. Chanaman, welcome into the stream, my friend. Hope you are well. Very good to see you. Hope you are enjoying the action tonight. This is the battle we're currently watching. Hor versus Josh. This is the battle for 5th place. Hor looks to be gaining with the DRS, but it's actually Josh that's gaining more and is going to look back down the inside of traps. Are we going to go 3 wide here? Yes, we are. It's very late on the brakes. Goes Hor, runs a little bit wide off the track. Josh slams the door shut on him on the medium tyres. We will look quickly to the tyre allocation as Traps now looks to go around the outside. Mikey's getting involved here, and this battle really opening up as to the inside goes Traps, and that is a little bit of contact there, and into ghost mode goes Traps, and that will harm him as he tries to defend. Now comes out of ghost mode, and Mikey managing to swoop round the outside, but then losing positions, and now here comes Devil Diddley. Incredible battling going on between all of these drivers. Josh wins that out. He's back up to 4th. Hor's now up to 5th. Traps down to 6th. Devil Diddley up to 7th. And Mikey Boy, actually the big loser there, down to 8th. But you would imagine now Hor may have a little sniff up the inside of Josh as we go into turn 1. Decides against it. A little bit of contact though, and that is Josh going round, and Traps makes it up into 4th place. Josh is going to try and hold it with Hor round the outside. Josh manages to get back up into 5th place. It's now Hor in 6th. And Mikey Boy really is the big loser here as Dan gets a 3-second penalty, and he's losing a little bit of time to fake Scouser. Devil Diddley picks up a penalty as Hor finally manages to make his way through, on Josh, but Josh is most certainly going to fight this one back, and F1 Mikey Boy's getting involved here. Devil Diddley's getting involved here as Mikey Boy towards the inside. Ever the calm and witful driver just backing out early, as now we're going to have DRS, and this battle is really going to open itself up, and Traps has actually ran away from this, and we're now looking at going 3 wide. As the big loser here looks like it's going to be Hor, as Mikey Boy manages to go through as well. Hor's going to throw it back down the inside. There we've got Josh and Devil Diddley and Hor all involved in this battle. Look at the amount of cars that are involved in this battle trying to share the same piece of tarmac. But, well, I mean, this is about 6 into 1, and surely this can't go, and it doesn't go. There's contact, and Hor now into ghost mode with a little bit of a moment. Traps is really running away from this battle. So is Josh, as Devil Diddley now is at the head of the pack from Mikey. It's then Hor. Now insert Meloon and Matt Connor into the battle. And this car, that was only a 3 or 4 car battle, is now, I think, about an 8 car battle. Absolutely incredible stuff. As we now make our way towards turn 1 again, Hor's going to look to get the move on Meloon with the DRS. Looks a little bit quicker in a straight line. Does the roading car on his teammate. Holds it round the outside. Meloon is going to throw it back down the inside though. Hor's on the outside. Ran a little bit wide. Manages to regain the position though, does Meloon. And this is absolutely incredible racing from all of these drivers. There has been a fair amount of contact, but obviously round 1, everyone just getting used to their cars, getting used to the circuit. And as the track rubbers in, and as the drivers get a little bit more experienced, I'm sure those little bits of contact will wear out, as Meldrum gets a 10-second penalty for corner cutting. That's a new one, I must say. As we now go towards our next DRS zone, and Josh is really pulling the gap back on Traps, and this is surely going to be Josh moving back up into 4th place. And what this is doing is allowing the likes of Dan, Fake Scouser and Liam to really fly away. To the outside goes Josh. Is Devil Diddley going to look to get involved? Yes, he is, as he turns in, almost throwing it down the inside of Josh. There's a little bit of contact, and Traps looks like he's going to sneak back through, as there's big contact in the background there, and that's between Meloon and Mikey Boy. So the reigning world champion really not having a good season opener here, as Traps and Josh still continue to fight. Traps, absolutely stark defense of that 4th place. Brilliant stuff from him. Josh battling away hard. Devil Diddley going to look to sneak down the inside, now around the outside of Josh. This would be a lovely move if he can execute it. And you know what? He has. Brilliant move from Devil Diddley in the Dam's car and up into 5th place. And now Josh surely going to be under pressure from the likes of Hor and Matt Connor behind. Meloon and Mikey Boy have fallen a bit off this pack, but that's allowed Just Dave and Daryl into the fight with them. As into turn 1 we go, Devil Diddley and Traps fighting away, and Traps forced a little bit wide. Devil Diddley manages to get through on the medium tyres. Josh looking to make that pay dividends as well, as Daryl manages to get the move on Just Dave, as Mikey Boy has had yet another moment and is round once more. Absolutely incredible stuff. The reigning world champion not having the debut in Season 2 that he would have wanted. Down in 12th position. Still a long way to go in this race, but most certainly not the ideal place to be, as again, we now look, as we can see, Devil Diddley is the man in 4th. It's going to be Traps that's looking to put the pressure on him. We've got Josh in behind, then there's Hoare, and then there's Matt Connor. And this is surely going to get really close as we go into the next overtaking zone. Is Mr. Traps going to be close enough to maybe sneak it down the inside? Late on the brakes was Traps, just not close enough, as Just Dave manages to get back past Daryl. And was that a move there on for Daryl, as Just Dave goes a little bit wide, and we've got another yellow flag, and that appears to be Meldrum, who's slowing down quite a bit. I believe there's damage on the front end of that car. Just running a little bit slower than you'd normally see a Formula 2 car go. So not sure what the issue is there for Meldrum, as we've got even more battling going on between this mid-pack, and it just seems like it will never end. And honestly, long may it continue, as Hoare and Josh now battle into the final couple of corners. Not usually an overtaking place are these couple of corners, but Hoare and Josh absolutely going for it, and Traps is really starting to close up to the back of Devil Diddley. Is there a dive down at turn 1? Not able to do so, and Josh manages to hold it round the inside, or outside, sorry, of Hoare, and remains in 6th place. Matt Connor just biding his time, waiting in behind. He knows most of the drivers ahead have penalties, and as long as he can just keep it consistent, he will be all right. Meldrum comes into the pits to become our first retiree of the race. Lap 7 of 31, and Meldrum's race is done. Not sure if that was a hardware issue for Meldrum, or if there was a little bit of contact, or what happened to the MP Motorsport man, but I'm sure we will hear about that, as Traps just losing a little bit of time to Devil Diddley in the middle sector, as Dan manages to get his way back through on Fake Scouser. And look at the gap out in front. We've not really spoken about him since about lap 1, but Liam out in front now 6 seconds clear, and that is a mighty gap in Formula 2 machinery, as we see Just Dave and Daryl doing battle once more. And in the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, all remaining just a little bit stagnant for now. Josh may be looking to put a wing down the inside of Traps, but nothing doing. Is really gaining on the back of him though, and surely will be eyeing up a potential move soon, as maybe even to the outside here. Traps placing that car exactly where he needed to. Josh now going to look to maybe throw it down the inside of the final corner. He is going to look to throw it down the inside. Traps maybe gets a little bit spooked on the outside there, and Traps will not have the DRS, so surely Josh is going to be able to get through, and Hoare's inserting himself into this battle, and it looks like we're going 3 wide into turn 1. Hoare down the inside, Josh is in the middle, Traps on the outside. There's a little bit of contact there between Traps and Matt Connor, as we can see Meloon in the background also gaining on this battle, but it is Josh that manages to get up into 5th. It's Hoare up to 6th, Traps down to 7th, Matt Connor remaining in 8th for the time being, but Traps just looking like he may be starting to struggle on those soft compound tyres, and potentially a pit stop is due for him. Lap 8 of 31 of this Texan feature race, and it is Liam that leads from Dan and Fake Scouser. It's Devil Diddley in 4th, who has really managed to escape that pack and is now 2 seconds ahead of Josh. It's Hoare who's in 6th, with Traps in 7th, and Matt Connor is really on the back of Traps. Traps just looks a little bit quicker in a straight line with the setup. Obviously, in Formula 2 machinery, no benefit of ERS, as we are going to see Matt Connor dive it down the inside. Is there a move on there? There's a little bit of contact between them as Traps runs a little bit wide. Now turns it back into the inside. A little bit of a wobble there for him, but does manage to get the move done for literally about 2 seconds as Matt Connor then throws it back up the inside. Traps now back up the inside. Meloon's now getting involved in this battle, but Matt Connor does manage to make the move up into 7th place. And Traps now down to 8th. Horse still stuck behind Josh for the time being. And the battle really now is turning between Matt Connor, Traps and Meloon, as Matt Connor has actually fallen out of the DRS of Hoare. Mr. Dave and Daryl are now inserting themselves in this battle. I don't believe Just Dave will get the DRS. He won't. But to turn 1 we go, and Traps is going to look down the inside. It's a clean move from Traps. A little bit of contact on the exit as Matt Connor got a very good exit, but unfortunately for him, Traps' car was sat right on the outside there. Traps manages to get back up into 7th, albeit with a 6-second penalty. Dan and Fake Scouser still scrapping away for 2nd place. And this is a battle that doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. But this is only helping Liam out in front gain more time away. The gap, 8.5 seconds. And in Formula 2 machinery, that is a millennia. As we now go towards the next overtaking zone, looks like it's going to be relatively easy for Dan to throw it back up the inside and moves up into 2nd place once more. Hoare is now coming at Josh and manages to go round the outside well before the braking zone is even on and get through. Matt Connor looking to come at Traps round the outside, but Traps just with a little bit of better traction manages to keep the position and doing very well defensively today. Is Traps losing positions under DRS, but when it comes to corner maneuvers, Traps placing that car in all the perfect places. Just Dave now really on the back of this fight, and Daryl is just gaining towards it as well. And I'll tell you who is gaining back towards this battle. It's the reigning world champion, F1 Mikey Boy, and if there is anyone that you don't want gaining on you, it is the reigning world champion. As we're on lap 10 of this feature race here in Texas, and Traps one's a little bit wide out of the final corner, and that's going to allow Matt Connor to go through. Meloon is also going to get involved in this fight. Is to the inside he goes now. We're going to go on board with Just Dave, who's now looking to the outside of Traps. There's more contact down at turn 1 between, I believe, Meloon and Matt Connor. Traps and Meloon now wheel to wheel as we enter towards the S's. Meloon just managing to sneak his nose ahead, but Traps will not give up in this fight. Gets another penalty for it and loses a position down to 9th. And now Daryl and Just Dave right on the back of Traps. And this battle does not look like it's going to end anytime soon. Big shout out to Howard3 in chat for the follow. Thank you very much, my friend. Really appreciate that. All the support very incredibly valued as we see Dan and Fake Scouser going for it once more. Nothing doing for them. Devil Diddley still pulling away from Hoare in 5th place as Josh tries to look. Can he get another move back down the inside? Looks to almost bait Hoare into a mistake, but nothing doing there as we've got mass changes of positions in this mid-pack. Traps now down into 10th, I believe, or 9th, as Just Dave has a little bit of contact, goes into ghost mode, and now Daryl is going to look to get involved in this fight on the back of Dave, as we've got a couple of cars wheel to wheel. That's Meloon and Matt Connor, and Traps, ever the opportunist, will look to try and make a move if there is one available. But it looks like we're all going to stagnate now as Traps maybe with a little bit of damage. A big lift off there, and no damage to Traps' car, so maybe just a little bit less front end, as Matt Connor is going to be the first man to dive into the pit lane. 9 laps done on those soft compound tyres, and Matt Connor dives into the pit lane for some fresh rubber. Lap 11 of 31, and Matt Connor actually retires from the session. That's a very weird one, I must say. He was in a very good position to fight and has left us. In the battle for 5th, Hoare and Josh have really pulled away from the likes of Meloon, who is just in a bit of no man's land now. 4 seconds to the cars ahead, 1.5 seconds to the cars behind. So the battle really now falls to Daryl, Traps, and Meloon, as there's a little bit of contact there, and Traps loses the position to Daryl. Mikey Boy picks up another penalty and is now right back in this fight with Traps, with Daryl, and with Just Dave. Dave managing to pull a little bit of a gap on Darrell. I believe that was probably because of that contact. And Mikey moving towards the outside. Traps just looks a little bit quicker in a straight line than the reigning world champion. Is there going to be a dive down the inside? There is from Traps on Darrell. Sends it down the inside and manages to get the position. A lovely opportunist move there. Is Darrell going to look back down the inside? Well, he was, but now he's got the reigning world champion on the outside of him. Manages to defend that position. Is Mikey going to look for a dive down the inside? He is. There's contact between Darrell and Traps, and Darrell goes round, and Mikey boy, ever the opportunist, manages to get the move done, and there's even more contact as Traps gets a penalty going off the track into the side of Mikey. And that seems like the big battle really is over now, as Mikey will scamper away and look to see if he can gain that 2.8 second gap on Dave. But 12 laps of intense battling for all of these drivers, and Traps darts into the pit lane for his first pit stop. Don't know if he sustained damage in any of that contact, but seems like a little bit of an early pit stop, but he did seem like he was struggling on the tyres, so wouldn't be surprised if that is just a normal tyre change. It is just a normal tyre change, and out he comes on the medium compound tyres. Fake Scouser and Dan still battling away here in the Texas heat for second place. Our next closest battle is between Josh and Hoare, still for fifth. Hoare doing a good job of defending from the AIX Racing behind. It will be DRS that Josh has to try and gain. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, no ERS, no battery system in a Formula 2 car. So the only real driver aid you do get is DRS. Is Josh close enough? He isn't. Just sticks in behind for now. Runs a little bit wide in the pursuit of some better traction, but nothing doing for him. Still remains in sixth place, and it's the same with Fake Scouser and Dan, just stagnating for now. The gap now out in front, 10.3 seconds, Liam to Dan, and that is a big, big gap out in front. Liam just running very consistent lap times, doing exactly what he needs, not making any mistakes. I don't believe he's got any warnings either for track limits, as Traps comes into the chat to say everyone's forcing me off. And definitely some frustration in the cockpit of Traps there. The key is, and if you are still listening, Traps, it's a long way to go in this race, my friend. We're not even at half race distance yet. Can always be a safety car, can always be, you know, even a red flag, and a chance to get yourself back in this one. Don't race with frustration, as Liam actually picks up a 3-second time penalty. Not that it'll matter, because the car behind Dan has a 3-second penalty himself. But the first sign of a little mistake, as Hoare also picks up a penalty. So that leaves Fake Scouser and Darrell as the only two drivers to have not got a penalty thus far. Lap 13 of 31, and Liam is really starting to dominate this race. Or I say really starting, he's been dominating it really since the first minute of qualifying. Was about 7.5 tenths clear of the rest of the field, and that is the pace he's got here, about 7 tenths clearer, or 7 tenths quicker, sorry, than every other driver every lap, as he now comes through, I believe, the triple apex right-hander. And it really doesn't seem like there is anything that can stop Liam tonight, as he's going to dart into the pit lane for his first pit stop. I'm not sure if this will be the only pit stop. To be honest, I've personally not done a full Formula 2 feature race, so I cannot say if this is going to be a one-stop race or a two-stop. He comes in for the medium compound tyres, and I would imagine if he can go nearly half the race on a set of softs, he will be able to go to the rest on a set of mediums. Dan and Fake Scouser stay out, so Dan takes the lead of the race. Liam will be coming out in, I believe, 6th place. Meloon will maybe be a little bit close into turn 1 as Mikey comes into the pits and retires from the session. So the reigning championship leader, or reigning championship winner, sorry, out of the race early. And that is Mikey boy having the worst possible start to his championship defence, as Liam absolutely dominates out in front, which is exactly what Mikey did last season, for most of the season really. The script seems to have flipped. Now the question is, out in front, is there going to be a change of lead as Fake Scouser really is gaining on the back of Dan? To the inside he goes. Is there a move down the inside? Dan a little bit later on the brakes. Fake Scouser willing to take a little bit more off of the track limits. They are now wheel to wheel. Fake Scouser swooping round the outside. Dan with the inside line. Is there enough traction for Fake Scouser? It will now turn to the inside line, and Fake Scouser, lovely composed move up into the lead of the Texan feature race. Lap 14 of 31. And Liam just looking to gain on Josh and Hoare ahead of him. That's currently the battle for 4th and 5th place. And Liam will hope that he doesn't have any incident trying to get past. Fake Scouser and Dan both come into the pit lane. Diddley stays out and will inherit the lead of the race. Hoare and Josh stay out. They've got Liam, who's trying to gain behind them. Meloon will stay out. Dave stays out. Darrell just coming towards the pit lane entrance now, but he will stay out. And it seems that Dan and Fake Scouser, just coming out of the pits now, will come out in, I believe, 8th and 9th. Seems like it, yeah, as Darrell goes through. So Fake Scouser emerges in 8th. It will be Dan in 9th. And Fake Scouser has actually gained a little bit of time in the pit lane entrance. Maybe a bit braver on the brakes on the entrance to the pit lane. And managing to gain himself some crucial tenths, which actually gets him out of the DRS gap. Hoare still looking to gain, or Josh, sorry, looking to gain on Hoare, as we've got Liam in 4th place is really pulling that gap down, and Josh is just that little bit closer on this occasion. Hoare knows that and goes defensive. To the outside goes Josh, and before the braking zone even comes up, manages to get the move. Just Dave manages to get past Meloon and up into 5th place. Meloon will look for the cutback, but nothing doing for the Rodin Motorsport driver, and has to settle for 6th at this point in time. And Liam now in the DRS duct that he needs to be in to get the DRS on Hoare ahead of him. Devil now coming round the final couple of corners. Will he be seen into the pit lane? He will not. Josh is going to dart into the pit lane though, as is Hoare, and that is absolutely perfect for Liam, who will get the DRS, will not lose any time behind those cars, sets a new fastest lap of the race, and now has 3 seconds of clean air to try and gain up towards Devil Diddley, who is currently leading. Lap 16 of 31. We're just at half race distance now. And it's going to be interesting to see where Josh and Hoare come out. Very, very close into the pit lane they were, I believe, making contact. Josh actually onto the soft compound tyres, obviously started on the mediums. And you would imagine that will help him in his pursuit of trying to gain away from the Rodin Motorsport of Hoare. And that gap between Liam and Devil coming down mighty quick. 15 lap old mediums for Devil, 2 lap old mediums for Liam. Behind them they've got Meloon and Just Dave, who are battling away. Is Meloon going to be close enough? Doesn't look like it. And most certainly isn't close enough as we go into the next braking zone. Not enough on the inside to try and get away through. Closest battle on track besides that, I believe, is between Hoare and Josh. We've also got Darrell and Dan fighting away, but Darrell on the older, more expired tyres. You would imagine Dan will quite easily run away with that. Lovely little camera angle we've got here on board with the Prema car. And he has just lost a little bit of time to Fake Scouser. That DRS oh so crucial in his pursuit of the ART man. And Devil now comes into the pits as Liam sets another fastest lap of the race. And now leads, I believe, Just Dave. Yes, Just Dave. 16 laps on those tyres. Leads by 6.9 seconds. As Meloon still trying to make a move on the VAR car. Devil just coming out of the pit lane now. And emerges in 7th place, I believe. Although it will be close with Josh, who's coming up towards turn 1 now. And up the hill we go. Devil manages to get out pretty safely as Meloon picks up a penalty. Fake Scouser and Daryl still the only two to have not picked up a penalty just yet. We will look to the penalty situation. And it's 3 seconds for Liam, Dave and Devil and Hoare. We've then got 6 seconds for Meloon, Dan, Josh. As Fake Scouser's just picked up a 3-second penalty as well. And then we've got 12 seconds for Traps and 15 seconds for Dinosaur. Lap 17 of 31 of this Texan feature race. And currently 11 drivers on track. Reigning world champion F1 Mikey Boy, Matt Connor and Meldrum, all 3 of them out of the race. And MP Motorsport with a horrible start to life in Season 2. Both of them out very early on. And in their bid for a Constructors' World Championship, that will not be helpful. As we've got a big battle going on here between Devil Diddley, Josh and Hoare. And there's big contact there, and Josh slammed off the track, and Hoare now looking to dart his way down the inside. Devil Diddley, very aggressive defence there of his 7th place. I don't believe there was any damage to Josh's car. It doesn't look like it. So Josh remains in 8th. Hoare is in 9th with Devil Diddley in 7th. And Josh just looks to have a bit better grip. Maybe the tyres more fired up after being on them for a lap longer. As we are going to look to the inside of turn 1. And AIX racing man Josh manages to get through up into 7th. Devil will look to come back at him, but now he's got Hoare, who will be all over the back of him. But Devil is going to look for it potentially into the S's. Has to back out. Knows that's probably not the best place to go for an overtaking manoeuvre. And has to sit behind for now. Meloon still right on the back of Just Dave. And surely a move will be on here for the Road and Motorsport man. As we make our way down the straight. And surely there's an opportunity opening up on the inside. Just Dave looking very quick in a straight line though, even with DRS. Meloon not really gaining any time. So looking very good on the exits and down the straights is Just Dave. And really acting like a human roadblock as Devil Diddley manages to get back past Josh. Is Hoare close enough to try and make a move? He's not, just has to settle in behind Josh for the time being. But still a long way to go in this race. Only lap 18 of 31. Meloon now darts into the pit lane. Just Dave stays out, and that, I believe, is the undercut attempt. But a 10-second penalty for Meloon coming into the pit lane, and that will surely ruin any chance he's got of finishing on the podium tonight. Really, really overcutting on the medium compound tyres, as is Daryl, as is Just Dave. Meloon onto the soft compound tyres. But that's definitely going to be a struggle for him with that 10-second penalty. And if there is to be, you know, a safety car or another pit stop round, that 10-second penalty will have to be served. And Meloon will drop even more positions, down to 9th at the minute. And 10 seconds behind the battle of Hoare, Devil Diddley and Josh, who will only be gaining away with the DRS. And they are all now starting to gain on Daryl, who is yet to come in to the pit lane. One of, I believe, 2 drivers now, Daryl and Just Dave, both having stayed out. One of 2 drivers yet to have pitted. And you would imagine this will be a relatively easy move for Josh to try and get past. A good exit for Josh just secures that he will be that little bit closer to the rear end of Daryl. Pulls out to the inside. Daryl knows there's not really much point in fighting that. Is Devil Diddley close enough? He is. And Diddley makes his way down the inside as well. Darrell losing a couple of positions in one corner, but knows that he's playing the long game and will try and come back at these drivers later in the race. Hoare now looking at the rear end of Darrell, switches very late to the inside, manages to get the move done though as Sir Liam Bartholomew sets another fastest lap of this Grand Prix, or of this feature race should I say, as Just Dave now comes into the pit lane. Fake Scouser will go through into second, Dan will go through into third, and look at the gap out in front now, 18.6 seconds. That is an absolute millennia out in front. 18.7 seconds Liam leads by. And that gap is only growing. I can't remember a time that I've ever seen a display so dominant. Meloon comes into the pits to retire from the session. And with that 10-second penalty, he kind of knew that there was nothing going to happen for him in this race. Or has he had a moment at turn 1? Or has he just retired? No, he's just retired on track and has pulled off into the runoff area. But like I was saying about Liam, I cannot remember a time in NRRL that I have ever seen a display so dominant. 19 seconds the gap, and it's still only growing, and we've still got 11 laps of this feature race to go. You could easily see that gap growing to 25 seconds, maybe even half a minute. And I mean, 19 seconds in a Formula 1 car would be a lot of time. But 19 seconds in a Formula 2 car is absolutely astonishing. I can't believe I'm even saying that. As now to our closest battle on track, that's between Josh and Devil Diddley. Hoare just teetering on the edge of falling out of the DRS. Manages to get himself back in it though. Is Josh going to be close enough towards turn 1 to try and make a move? It looked like Devil got a better exit. I don't believe the DRS is going to be powerful enough for Josh to try and make a move into turn 1. It isn't. And he will have to wait a few corners more. That definitely would have been a warning for Josh, you would imagine, as he went off the track there at turn 1 in his pursuit of Devil Diddley. Hoare has dropped out of that DRS for the time being. Will look to get himself back in it as Dinosaur retires on track from the race. And that leaves us with 9. Liam, Fake Scouser, Dan, Devil Diddley, Josh, Hoare, Just Dave, Mr. Traps, and Darrell, who has finally made his way into the pit lane and will now look to try and gain on the guys ahead. He's got a 5-second gap to Traps, who's currently running in 8th. Josh still looking to gain on Devil, but just looking a little bit too far behind. And Hoare has fallen out of that DRS, and that is really going to put a halt on his race. But a little bit of a mistake from Josh there has allowed Hoare to just gain up a little bit once more. And hopefully for his sake, maybe close enough to sneak back in that DRS, because it is so powerful in these Formula 2 cars. With no driver aids, DRS is really the only aid that you get, and is absolutely crucial to your race if you can stick within the DRS. I mean, we've seen it with Fake Scouser and Dan. They were absolutely tied to each other the entire race, and Dan at moments looked the quicker driver. But then as soon as the pit stops came in and Fake Scouser managed to pull that gap, it has only grown between himself and Dan. Dave sets the fastest lap of the race of 44.8 on the newer soft compound tyres. Makes his way into turn 1. Darrell is really bringing that gap down between himself and Traps, who he can now see going through the final corner. Josh picks up a 3-second time penalty in his pursuit of Devil Diddley. And you can just imagine the dirty air going through the S's must be absolutely horrible. But managing to keep within that gap is Josh. making sure he doesn't run as wide as he has done. A little bit of an oversteer moment as he goes through, but doesn't look like it's going to cost him too much. Just not close enough again to try and make a move as we go down this massive back straight we have here at the Circuit of the Americas. And this is the closest battle on track. Just looks like the gap's opening up now. 20 seconds from second to the leader. It's then 3.5 seconds from third to second. 5.5 seconds from third to fourth. We've then got the battle for fourth between Devil and Josh. 1.7 seconds between Josh and Hoare. 7.7 seconds between Hoare and Dave. And then it's 21 seconds back to Traps, who has got Daryl gaining on him at light speed on the newer compound tyres and the softer compound tyres. Daryl running very consistent lap times at the minute. You could see in the top right there, only 38 milliseconds off of his fastest lap. Mr. Consistent making his way through to try and gain. You would think it's a tall order for him to gain those 22 seconds to try and gain on just Dave, especially with Dave being on near enough the same tyres as Daryl. But Daryl's managed to make his way into the DRS. We'll now look to try and make a move on Traps as we head towards turn 1, lap 23 of 31 of this Grand Prix. And Daryl is gaining, he's not going to go for it down the inside, decides better of that. Just overshoots it a little bit into turn 1, but manages to keep it on track, and we will ride on board with Daryl through the S's now. So you go left, right again. At every corner, just tightens up a little bit, gets a little bit slower as you go through these S's. They start off pretty much all flat out, and then just get a little bit slower as you go through all of them. Now open the steering wheel up, let it run wide, as Liam is actually going to come into the pit lane again. And you would imagine this is not a scheduled pit stop. This is just for bragging rights, potentially for the fastest lap of the race. It is soft compound tyres. But I mean, when you're 21 seconds in the lead, you are more than welcome to do absolutely whatever you want. You would imagine Fake Scouser will go past, and he does, moves up into the lead. Will Dan manage to get past? Liam just coming out of the pits now. Dan does manage to go through. Now the question is, are they able to try and hold Liam behind? Is there going to be enough defence? You can see the penalties. Dan on 9 seconds realistically won't be winning this one unless something major changes. But if Dan can just try and fight Liam a little bit, he could inadvertently give Fake Scouser a very good chance of winning this Texan feature race. As towards the back straight we go now, DRS for Liam, much better grip for Liam as well. Is there anything Dan can do to try and fight him? That is the question. It's DRS, he is gaining, and Dan knows really that's not his fight, doesn't look to fight it, and Liam goes through back up into second place. And you would imagine now will begin his pursuit on Fake Scouser as Traps picks up a few more penalties, now on 21 seconds as Daryl has managed to get past. And Traps now down into 9th, will still score points for 9th position, so definitely better off than the 5 drivers that have retired from this race, those being Dinosaur, Meloon, reigning world champion F1 Mikey Boy, and both MP Motorsport cars of Matt Connor and Meldrum. Dan just looking to try and stick to Liam as best as he can, maybe get dragged along towards the back of Fake Scouser. It's going to be hard to stay with Liam, but if he can, could pay dividends for his race, although that gap already extending just through the exit of turn 1. And Liam now sets off after Fake Scouser. 2.2 seconds is the gap, but ever decreasing between Liam and Fake Scouser as Josh picks up another 3-second penalty. Now on 12 seconds is Josh. Daryl's still the only man without a time penalty, as Traps picks up a 10-second penalty for corner cutting in his pursuit of Daryl. You wouldn't imagine he'll be able to gain back on Daryl, but through turn 1 we go with Traps nothing really doing. We'll go back and look at Liam in his pursuit of Fake Scouser, back for the lead of the race. It won't be a Grand Slam for Liam. Lost the lead when he made his pit stop, and has obviously lost the lead here in his pursuit of the fastest lap, as Josh manages to get past Devil Diddley. Devil is going to look back down the inside. Is there enough grip for Josh? Gets forced a little bit out wide, and now here's Hoare joining the battle once more. Is Josh going to look down the inside? He is. There's contact between himself and Devil, and Hoare now really gets himself involved as we go towards the triple apex right-hander. Devil Diddley, just with a better exit, manages to hold on, and will now look to the battle for the lead, as surely this is going to be an easy move for Liam, who gets the fastest lap of the race back. To the outside he looks, towards turn 1 we go, and before the braking zone even comes up, Liam manages to get through. Fake Scouser will try and fight it, but not enough grip for him to do so, and Liam moves back up into the lead of the Texan feature race. As we go through turn 1, it's Devil leads Josh, leads Hoare in the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th place. Josh with a penalty, and crucially Liam gets another penalty. And if Fake Scouser can try and stick in the DRS, much easier said than done, I must say, with Liam being on the new soft tyres. But if Fake Scouser can just try and stick within 3 seconds of him, maybe the ever-dominant Liam might come crashing down. But you would have to imagine that that gap will most certainly be hard to bring down. Traps comes into the pits and retires from the race, and that is our 6th retiree of the evening. Traps with a really, really good start to this race, just unfortunately for him dropped a little bit back and couldn't really make anything of it in the middle stint of this race. But we know that he will be back next week trying to make a better name for himself. Liam still pulling away from Fake Scouser. The gap now 1.4 seconds, and we'll look back to this battle as Devil Diddley just pulling out a little bit more of a gap on Josh. Hoare right on the back of Josh. This is the battle for 5th, and with only a handful of laps to go now, this is when the moves will really matter. Traps in chat saying, tried my best, ruined the strategy, so wasn't a point with the 31 seconds too. I mean, to be fair, Traps, you would have got points anyway, but I can't blame you for retiring after quite the frustrating race, I must say. Lap 27 of 31 of this Texan feature race, and it is Liam that leads from Fake Scouser. It's Dan in 3rd, with Devil in 4th, who's just starting to drop Josh over the last lap or 2, and is actually dumping him out of DRS range. Josh, just with a bit of a better exit, manages to bring himself back towards it, but doesn't look like he's going to get it. He isn't, so this is going to provide Hoare a very, very good opportunity of a move into the next overtaking zone, or he might not even need the braking zone. He might be able to just dart it down the inside with the straight line speed, as here we go then, to the inside goes Hoare, and yes, before the braking zone even comes up, Hoare moves up into 5th place, and we'll now look to see if he can try and make a move on Devil Diddley. He's not in the DRS, but has a few corners to try and get back into that DRS zone, as Josh is going to throw it back up the inside. In fact, Hoare is going to look for the switchback, and a lovely move there. Preempted the move from Josh, who has almost made that his trademark move, as Josh gets another penalty, and that's 15 seconds for Josh, and that will inevitably drop him behind just Dave, who is gaining on this battle. Out in front, Liam has managed to pull that gap on Fake Scouser that he needed. 3.8 seconds Now the gap out in front, and Liam looking to continue on the dominance of this race and take home a maiden win in the Formula 2 category in massively dominant fashion. You can only imagine if he didn't box to get that fastest lap, he would have only ended up about 30 seconds ahead of the driver in second place, that being Fake Scouser. Josh really attacking the track limits through the S's, trying to stick to the back of Hoare. Hoare really attacking the track limits, trying to get back in the DRS of Devil Diddley, but picks up another time penalty in doing so. And now 6 seconds the difference between Devil Diddley and Hoare. Hoare has managed to get in the DRS, but you can't imagine he's going to be able to get ahead and pull a 6-second gap. Lap 28 of 31 of this race. And Liam out in front after pitting for the fastest lap. Now just reasserts himself at the top of the order and looks to gain away once more. 5.2 seconds and growing between himself and Fake Scouser. He's got the extra penalty, but with Fake Scouser having a penalty, only needs a 3-second gap ahead of him. And Liam has more than enough as he enters lap 29. 2 laps to go of this Texan feature race. And it just doesn't seem like there's anything Fake Scouser can do about it. Dan in third, running quite a lonely race to be honest, but will most certainly be happy to finish on the podium in round 1 of season 2. Always good to start the season off on a high, and while he was battling for second and maybe a little bit bittersweet for Dan, who at one point thought he could have maybe finished just a step higher on the podium. A podium always good in round 1 to insert yourself potentially in the championship picture. But if every track we go to is going to be like this for Liam, it's going to be very hard for anyone to be able to stop him. Devil Diddley is in 4th, and even with Hoare all over the back of him, you would imagine it will be Devil that will finish in 4th with his lack of penalties, as Josh picks up yet another penalty. 18 seconds now for Josh, which would leave just Dave finishing in 5th, as Hoare has got 12 seconds. Hoare is right on the back of Devil and looking to make a move. Devil weaving all over the place, trying to break the slipstream. Is there going to be a gap for Hoare to go around the outside? Dave manages to get past Josh. Hoare to the outside of Diddley. Hoare actually runs off the track in his pursuit of that overtake and has to cede the position for the time being. Dave managing to make his way through on Josh and up into 6th place as our leader now starts the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. And what a day it has been for him in the Texas heat. Absolutely flying away out in front, and an ideal start to life in the Formula 2 division for Liam. And this could be, I mean, I know it's only round 1, but this could be crucial for the World Championship. A dominant victory from Liam, reigning World Champion Mikey out of the race. It's definitely very telling, I must say. Hoare still right on the back of Devil Diddley, trying to gain the track position. Won't finish there when we reach the flag, sorry. But looking to try and lay the statement down. I was quicker than you. I overtook you on track. Yes, even with the penalties, I can still beat you. Dave is looking to gain on the back of this battle as well. 5/10 is the gap as Devil runs a little bit wide, and there is contact between Hoare and Diddley. And Devil weaving all over the place once again, trying to break that slipstream as Hoare actually lets Dave go by. And I must say, quite a respectful thing to do there from Hoare, as he recognises that Dave and Diddley both have the same time penalty. And with only about a lap and a half to go now, this really heats up the battle for 4th place, because both of them on 6-second penalties. And this is all going to come down to the final lap, which our leader Liam starts now. And after a dominant day here in Texas, he is going to be a man to watch in this championship. And if it is anything like this race has been tonight, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to challenge him. As Devil Diddley and Just Dave begin the final lap of the race, is Dave close enough to try and make a move? He's gaining towards turn 1. He's moving to the inside of turn 1. He's going down the inside of turn 1. Devil tries to hold it round the outside and get some better traction. He is wheel to wheel with the VAR man. Is there contact? It looks like it was close to it as we now go into the S's. Diddley just has to back out and Dave gets the move done. Now the question is, will he be able to hold it? Yes, he will, because Devil picks up a 3-second penalty, and as long as Dave can keep it within the track limits, Dave surely taking 4th place here tonight. But for our leader out in front, Liam took pole position by a whopping 7.5 tenths, has led this nearly from lights to flag, and one of the most dominant displays we have ever seen in NRRL history. Most certainly the most dominant display in the Formula 2 category. He was unknown coming into this race, a new driver, a rookie. Would he be able to hang with the likes of the reigning world champion? We're on a day where the reigning world champion has unfortunately found himself on the wrong end of the stick and out. Liam has found himself on top of the pile time and time again. As he rounds the final corner, it is Liam who wins the Texan feature race in the F2 category of NRRL. It is Fake Scouser who will come home for 2nd place, and it is Dan who will finish on the podium in 3rd. Devil Diddley managed to get back ahead of Dave, but Dave will take that 4th place due to the penalties, and Dave gets a penalty at the final corner. I don't believe it. So it's Devil that's going to take 4th. It's Hall that manages to take 5th. Dave with 6th. Josh in 7th. And it will be Daryl that finishes 8th. I can't believe it. Just Dave, I think he picked up a 10-second penalty at the final corner. I am absolutely astonished. Oh my word. All he had to do was keep it in the track limits. That is absolutely astounding. My word. Daryl finally comes across the line in 8th place to finish off the points paying positions. And that is your Texan feature race done with. Liam absolutely dominating. And on a day where the reigning world champion fails to reach the flag, Liam absolutely dominates. There is your classification. Race winner is Liam. Fastest lap goes to Liam as well. Driver of the day and most overtakes goes to Devil Diddley, and cleanest driver goes to Daryl. And there is the race classification. It's Liam who wins the Texan feature race. It is Fake Scouser in 2nd with Dan in 3rd. Devil finishes in 4th with Hoare in 5th. It is Just Dave in 6th with Josh in 7th. Daryl in 8th with Mr. Traps in 9th. Dinosaur 10th. Meloon in 11th. Mikey in 12th with Matt Connor 13th and Meldrum 14th. But Traps, Dinosaur, Meloon, Mikey, Matt Connor and Meldrum, all failing to reach the flag. Well, that is your action from us tonight. Be sure to check in tomorrow for the 100% Sunday feature race. If you're not aware, qualifying for the real F1 starts in an hour. So set your alarms. Definitely be there for that. Mon the Max Verstappen. We're still in this championship fight, I do believe. But thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen, on Twitch and on TikTok. If you are new, drop a follow down below. Always live every Tuesday, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you want to get involved in the action, make sure you're looking to the new Discord videos for the Discord link, and in the TikTok bio as well, and the TikTok videos. Make sure you're looking around to see if you can find a link for us. If you need any help, just drop a message to the TikTok account, and we will most certainly be getting you in. My name has been Jack. I've been your commentator. Thank you very much for watching wherever you are in the world. And from me to you,